Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. It's a fantastic Friday in this T20 World Cup 2022, only if rain allows it to be. With me, Zaheer Khan and Michael Vaughan on the show. Gentlemen, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Zach, it seems like it's setting up for that kind of a day. Simon yesterday told us and showed us the forecast on his phone. It did improve drastically from then, but yet, just as we were ready and getting ready for the toss, the rain came back again and now it's getting heavier.
But these kind of days are very tough, and I don't know what Michael's thoughts are, but I think as a player, when I used to play, I used to hate these days. You just don't know. You're stuck in that dressing room. You don't know what to do, and especially in Test matches.
Yeah.
The longish format, it gets even more irritating and frustrating to deal with these kind of days because you can do much constructive things in that much time if you know that, okay, get off, you go back to the back to the hotel and then come back. It's just that much easier.
Yeah.
But when you have to wait there on the ground in that dressing room with so many people around and no one knows what to do, you got to kind of kill the boredom. People find ways, you kind of
Sure.
kill the time, but I never used to really enjoy these kind of days where there is a stop and start.
I don't think Zach Michael's enjoying it either. It's now 2 consecutive rain curtailed days where he's had to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, get up and be on the show and talk about rain.
Well, yeah, morning everyone. We're pretty good at talking about rain in the UK because we get a lot of it. I feel sorry for Afghanistan in particular. Playing at the MCG, it's not often, obviously, that they get a sniff of playing there. The game against New Zealand was washed out a couple of nights ago, and then the rain arrives again today. It's frustrating for the players, for the competition. Obviously, a huge game later on this evening, England-Australia, and you just don't want it to be affected by the rain. You don't want a team to have, more sway over the opposition with a good win of the toss, or it gets reduced to a few hours and it kind of favours one side. You just want a fair contest. So we could be in for a long day if the scenes are what I've just seen on my Twitter feed, which it looks like the heavy rain has started to fall in Melbourne. So it's going to be frustrating. It's hard for the players, as Zach says. You're not quite sure when you're going to start, when you really got to switch on to that real on-field performance mentality. This really tests players.
Yeah.
Kind of who can really switch on at that time when they know that the umpire say, right, you've got 10 minutes, we're going to start. It's really difficult for the players.
It is, and we got a small update from Simon Dool this morning on our WhatsApp group, and he said the outfield was soaking wet, and it did dry out because the rain did relent for a bit. The super soppers and the groundsmen were at work, but it's returned again, and it just can't be good news, as Michael said, Zach, because if you have a look at this group, this was always going to be the tougher of the two groups. And to have washout games, especially in a tournament where you've seen such close games, you want to see more of them. It's also unfortunate for teams like Afghanistan who, were at the MCG now 2 days in a row and are waiting and sitting there and not knowing what to do.
Well, a washout scenario actually is going to make this group even more tricky in terms of qualifying, because just presume that today's day is a washout and how that points table is going to look. So England will be on 3 points and Australia will also be on the 3 point, and so is New Zealand. Then the New Zealand-England game is going to be very, very critical. And I think it's not going to be a very bad thing for England if the game is washed out, because you're securing that 1 point and then you have to just beat New Zealand and Sri Lanka. So there is potential of teams reaching on 7 points?
Yeah.
Winning 2 games each. So Australia, New Zealand and England can still be on 7 points, and the net run rate will come into play. Yeah, so it's not going to be all in all that bad. New Zealand still comfortably placed because of their net run rate.
Yeah.
And the chances, the group, uncertainty of the group who is going to go through still remains, because Ireland will also be on 3 points.
Yeah.
So you can't rule them out as well at this point if it's a washout day.
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions coming in from all the viewers. Let's take one of that. Hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live question. It's around the rain, of course. I mean, on a day like this, you really can't talk much about anything else. The question is, I think, from Abhimanyu Baheti, and he's asked us that provided the match happens, if England lose to Australia today, will they get knocked out of the tournament? Michael, I'm sorry I'm having to pose this question to you, but that's not the case. I don't think so.
No, I don't think they're out, but it pretty much will be that they're out of the tournament because Australia have got Afghanistan and Ireland to play. You feel that they will beat those two sides in their own backyard. I know England lost to Ireland, but you feel that Australia will be too strong for those teams. And also Australia, it is only a point each today with the rain. And it comes down to net run rate. Australia know that those two teams are probably the two teams in the group that you could target to try and improve your net run rate. So I do think that England need a win today. If they don't get anything or they get a point, of course, they have to beat New Zealand, they have to beat Sri Lanka. And they're certainly good enough to do that. They're up there with the best teams in the tournament and they can beat anybody on the day. But they've just got to improve it. We were all shocked here about their performance against Ireland for whatever reason. The bowling for the first 10 overs was so off the mark. And I do feel in the first two games with the bat in hand, they've not quite been the England side that I've seen over the last few years in terms of hitting the white ball out the ground. It's been a little bit more circumspect, a bit nervy. That first batting display against Afghanistan was very unlike England. And again, against Ireland, they weren't the England batting unit that I've seen for quite a few years against the white ball. So England have got a lot of improvement in terms of the first two games, particularly on the back of winning in Pakistan, beating Australia in the warm-up kind of competition before. But something wasn't quite right. I think they had a big set to in the dressing room. I'm led to believe that Josh Buttler, Ben Stokes gave a few home truths, and they know that they have to improve. But in the tournament last week, we looked at the last World Cup that Australia won. They started the tournament so badly and went on and won the tournament because they got better and better and better. But the way that these groups are, and there's quite a few teams in them, it does allow you to lose a game or two and just then suddenly peak at the right time. So I still think it's quite early days, but obviously today is a huge game.
It is, and especially now with the kind of atmosphere in this tournament, Zach. I mean, we saw what Zimbabwe did to Pakistan last night. And that just spurs on a lot of other teams who not a lot of people give a lot of chances to, which means you've got to be very circumspect and very alert as the big teams in your group as well.
See, I've been saying in this format 150, 160. You never know how things are going to pan out. You have to make sure that then you win that game if you are a stronger team. But you're talking about 130 here.
Yeah,
and you're talking about a team going out there and doing the basics of bowling right. We did speak about that yesterday.
Yeah.
But more and more you think about it, you've seen that under pressure, teams are actually playing the format. They're going for the variations when it's not required at times. And what Zimbabwean bowling attack did was basically just stuck to those hard lengths, got the length right. And it rewarded in building that kind of a pressure on Pakistan batters and resulted in victory. Came together very nicely as a bowling unit. So in this format, you on any day any team can beat anyone.
Yeah.
So even though on paper you're looking stronger, you still got to go out there, stick to your processes and do the job. For your team. If you relax, if you have few bad overs, the panic sets, we often speak about it. You can get stuck, like how Michael is talking about the English team. There is that slight bit of doubt in terms of their processes.
Yeah.
They've been talking about, we wanted to be cautious and make sure that you secure those 2 points. The moment that doubt is there, that tentativeness is there, it can catch up. And that's what this format is all about, and that's why this format is so exciting because you can expect anything on any given day.
Now, Michael, Zimbabwe were anything but tentative against Pakistan. Were you as excited or even more than our man Pommy in those combos?
Oh, that's great! Yeah, the commentary from Pommy was outstanding when he's giving it that on the heart. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, Zimbabwe at the halfway stage were gone. It's not enough, and then all of a sudden the tall bowlers getting the bounce. It was fantastic to see. There's something about I put it on social media. If you look at the World Cups over the last 15 years, England and Pakistan, they do seem to lose games. You go back to 2009, the first T20, England lost to the Netherlands. They've lost to Ireland, obviously, a few days ago, and Pakistan, two real powerhouses of cricketing nations, do seem to have these huge upsets. Don't know why. It's the nature of the beast. It's pressure. Pakistan now, having lost the first two games, look pretty much dead and buried, look like they're gone. But again, you just can never rule them out. Winning the last few games well and suddenly sneaking into a semi-final, but it's a long shot from here, but brilliant. I put on social media, there's a clip from the Harare Sports Club of them all celebrating the win. Just have a look, and they all do a pitch invasion of the ground there from inside the bar at that sports venue. It's brilliant to see these associate teams. You know, Zimbabwe have been a big Test match playing team in the past, and obviously are doing very well at recent times as well. But to see Zimbabwe beat Pakistan and see Ireland beat England, huge shocks in the tournament. But it's brilliant to see these teams playing so well.
It was, and the most beautiful part of that, perhaps, Zach, was something that we keep hearing from you, especially, and Ashish Nehra on a lot of our Cricbuzz live shows, is that they didn't try and do anything extra. Zimbabwe were just sticking to the basics. The bowlers came out and just kept bowling those lengths. I mean, and every time they tried going away from that plan, they got hit for runs.
Yeah, play with the conditions, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to take conditions with you. You got to do whatever is working on that particular day. You got to play that percentage cricket, and I think that's what Zimbabwe did. They were smart enough to understand. First of all, winning the toss and batting first. That has been a positive move from their side. Pakistan didn't start well with the new ball. They didn't get the length right. Their bowlers, they were maybe a little too full initially, and that gave Zimbabwe the start. They couldn't capitalize on it ideally, fell short by 25 runs. But when you're talking about the simplicity of plans, you're understanding the ground dynamics as well. The straightish boundaries are small, the square boundaries were big. So they just kept things simple, that there is a bounce in the pitch. We're just going to hit the deck hard, and we're going to force the batters to use the square boundaries, which is longer boundaries, which is going to give them a chance of coming back in the game. So those are the things at times you miss. You know, if the wicket is allowing you to bowl pace off, you bowl as many deliveries of pace off as possible. You know, that is going to give you better chance of success. If the wicket is providing bounce, you try and utilize that bounce. There are going to be days when it's going to fall in your favor. There are going to be days when it's not going to be falling in your favor. But the percentage will always be on your side, and that's what the Zimbabwean bowlers did. Kept things simple. Got the ideal start as well. You know, Babar and Rizwan not amongst the runs has not been a help for Pakistan anyways. Yeah. Add to the pressure of the previous loss when you are controlling the game and losing. So there was a psychological aspect also which was playing on Pakistan batting lineup. So it was a combination of all, but resulted in something which no one was expecting, which is Zimbabwe to beat Pakistan.
Well, it's still raining at the MCG, which means we've got to do something to kill the time, and I've got a game prepared for both of our guests. It's a rapid fire, gentlemen. I'll go with Michael first. You've got to be very rapid with your answers. You've got to pick either or. So here goes. First one, better finish, India versus Pakistan or Pakistan versus Zimbabwe?
India, Pakistan.
Better knock, Conway or Kohli?
Kohli.
Bigger upset, Zimbabwe or Ireland?
You're setting it up.
Ireland, come on.
Better catch, Glenn Phillips flying or Ashane Bandara on the boundary line?
Glenn Phillips.
Okay. Better spell, Santner versus Australia, Raza versus Pakistan or Wood versus Afghanistan?
Ooh, Wood versus Afghanistan. I'm going to stick loyal there.
And who is the MVP of week 1 for you?
MVP. Week 1 MVP. I don't think there's been too many standout individuals. Give me. I'll go Kohli for that innings.
Yeah, has to be. After that knock, it has to be. Now to you, Zach. Better finish for you, India versus Pakistan or Pakistan versus Zimbabwe?
Should I just say copy paste Michael right now?
All right, okay.
If you're asking me the same question.
They are the same questions. Yeah, rapid fire. So I want to know, so Conway or Kohli? Kohli, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Bigger upset, Zimbabwe or Ireland?
Has to be Ireland, yeah.
Has to be Ireland? Okay. Better catch, Glenn Phillips or Ashane Bandara?
Glenn Phillips, of course.
Yeah, he flew actually. Yeah. Better spell, Santner versus Australia, Raza versus Pakistan or Wood versus Afghanistan?
I would say Raza versus Pakistan there, yeah.
Yeah, and the MVP.
Shan Masood, getting that wicket of Shan Masood was a key, If
Correct.
that had not happened, still, I think Pakistan were in with the chance.
Who is your MVP of this week?
MVP for me for this week has to be Kohli. Set the tone for the Indian team. Carried on that form in the next game as well with a 50. So yeah, has to be Virat Kohli for his consistency.
Yeah, I've got more bad news from the MCG, gentlemen. It's just not looking good. It says first it was just the square. Now the bowler's run-up area is also under covers. There was a brief heavy shower just now, and it has been raining on and off all day, of course. So the wet outfield could also come into the discussion whenever the rain eases. It's not looking good at the moment. And then Simon has also said that run-ups and outfield are very wet. So for the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to get better. The moment it does, we'll of course come back with more updates around the toss, team updates. But that's all the time we have right now on Cricbuzz Live. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Michael. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about Simon because I need updates from him from the MCG. Thank you, Zach. Thank you to all of you as well. You keep your notifications on the Cricbuzz app. We'll come back the moment we have more updates.